Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The Season 5 update is here. Of course, we saw plenty of weapon adjustments and meta changes with the patch notes for the launch update. So naturally, we got to break down the new top 10 best loadouts. First up, I want to start with my regain or restock loadout, if you will. This is one that I always have in my loadout selection list. It's not one that I'm really ever grabbing on that first loadout, right? This is just there in case I happen to be coming back from the gulag. I need a quick loadout that's going to maximize my SMG and my rifle ammo while also giving me my equipment with restock and whatnot. So this is like not my first go-to loadout. If I want to grab restock and put that on my class, or if I need to come back and regain, this is what I'm going for. Combination of the KG and then also the rat from Vanguard. I'm not really using this all that much. Like if I find something on the ground, the new SMG, any other sufficient weapon on the ground, I'm gonna replace this. I'm strictly using this because it has fully loaded in perk 2, which maximizes my SMG ammo, obviously. I also got acrobatic taped, the 20-round mag, subsonic, the hair trigger, the 98mm barrel and strife compensator on there if you want a rat setup, but it's not something I'm seriously using in game. It's just there as a means to an end. The KG is a lot more practical, obviously. I did get a nerf, a pretty significant nerf with the Season 5 update. I think it is still a competitive rifle, as we talked about in our meta tier list video yesterday, but the setup here doesn't really change. I'm still running MX silencer, the shrouded barrel. I've got the 3 to 6 times optic on there. If you're not liking the slower ADS this now has, and also the fact that it got that nerf with the Season 5 update, you could always jump over to the 2.5 times optic. I always like to go ahead and throw on the crosshair dot reticle on that as well. Like that works just fine. Padded stock for better control. I like the skeletal underbarrel for that faster ADS, just makes it a bit more consistent. Clouser 60 lengthened. Grooved is an option here, and I've tried to mess around with this previously for some more like aggressive builds to have that ADS strafe speed and whatnot. I think the best option here though is probably going to be either hatched or even rubber for the better control. Hatched is a bit more consistent in my opinion, and then tight grip and fully loaded on there for better control to maximize that ammo yet again. Perks and equipment real quick. Obviously on this class we have restock. You could also do tempered here if you wanted, but serpentine and combat scout, yes, it's a rat setup, but it's also the meta, even though it's annoying, so you got to be running it or you're just going to be at a disadvantage. Then throwing knives and snapshots on there as well is my personal preference, just for that information and the insta finishes. Obviously though, on all the other setups, the only main change is the fact that I'm using overkill. So you're going to be using that for the remainder of these so we can maximize 2 primary weapons and get the most out of a loadout. Also real quick, while we do go through the remainder of these, if you guys are new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, around 52% of viewers are not subbed yet, and every day I got you covered with the latest stuff going on in COD, the best loadouts, all the latest news and updates, you name it, you're going to find it right here. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by dropping a like on it. Let's try and aim for 3,000 likes on this one. Would be super cool if we could hit that. But this next loadout consists of the STG and the MP40. The STG basically just got a recoil nerf with the Season 5 update. Nothing that is, you know, out of the ordinary for a weapon that was already doing pretty well. And it really doesn't make it all that much worse. Like, it was a horizontal recoil nerf. The thing is still super easy to use. And the MP40 wasn't directly touched with the Season 5 update, but the Arma, the Blixen, the Marco, etc. were nerfed, which makes the MP40 indirectly more competitive with those. And this absolutely is right there as one of the best SMGs now. So on the STG, setup really is not changed all that much outside of switching over to the 2.5 times optic rather than the 3 to 6. I am still running MX silencer, the 760 barrel, the weighted stock here for that better control. If you want a more aggressive build for say Rebirth or Fortune's Keep, which by the way, in the coming days, I'm breaking down loadouts for each of those maps individually as well, but you could always try the folding stock really. To me, weighted just feels the most consistent though. Carver for the better control, the 50-round mags lengthened. I've been running Pine Tar because it has really good control aspects. Rubber would also work here really well too, so just comes down to preference there. I've got Nerves of Steel for the better control while you are injured, and then lastly, fully loaded to maximize that ammo. Then over on the MP40, because we didn't really see any changes to this gun in particular, the setups don't really change all that much. So we got the recoil booster, the short barrel, obviously the most aggressive and the sort of meta barrel at the moment right now. I don't really like the iron sights too much on this build, so I go for slate reflector. I've got the folding stock on there for the better movement, skeletal for the better movement and the faster ADS, Garanko 45, subsonic to keep me off the map. We've got taped grip on there for the better movement, also faster swap. I love that aspect. Perfectionist is going to give you some better control, so it just makes it super easy to use. Then we got quick for that faster movement on there as well. Now this next loadout consists of the UGM, which personally in my opinion is the best long range gun in the game right now. You have to reload somewhat frequently with this, unfortunately, but It has 125 rounds, so you at least have that before you have to reload. The reload's slow though, so you gotta look past that factor. But when it comes to damage over range, the thing's just insane. Nothing really is comparing to it right now. And I got the Blixen as the SMG setup for this one. As always, as we're going through these loadouts, you can mix and match the primary and the secondary as much as you want, really. They're all interchangeable, but Blixen, despite the nerf, still feeling super, super consistent. Now, on the UGM, I got the MX silencer and the fully auto barrel, the 736, which gives you better control, better velocity as well, perfect for long range. 2.5 times optic, again, if you really want to use the 3-6 still after the nerf, feel free to do so. Optics are the most personal preference based attachment in the game. So if you find one that you're comfortable with, use it. You don't always have to go off the recommendation. This is just what I like. I go for the anchor stock here, better control during sustained fire. I've got the strife angle, the underbarrel for the better horizontal control. The 125 round mag or box, as I mentioned, better control, better fire rate. You do have to reload a lot, but it has like no recoil. It's super good for long range. Lengthens, I've got hatched on here for that better control yet again. I've got tight grip for better control during sustained fire, and fully loaded to maximize that ammo. Then for the Blixen setup here, the main change comes in the form of the barrel. I'm still running recoil booster. Before I was using F3, and you could still use F3 totally just fine on this setup. I just switched over to the custom barrel because it's more of like a strafe build, if you will. This is still relatively easy to use. It's just not going to be as good as it was before, and the 17-inch was already good before, so now I feel like it's indirectly a little bit more competitive, right? I got slate reflector on there, remove stock, compact underbarrel for that better strafe speed. This combined with the barrel gives you a really nice strafe build. I'm still running the Garanko 54, no headshot damage multiplier, right? But still more consistent than these other options. 72 would be the next choice, but TTK here still feeling very good. Subsonic yet again, taped for that better movement and whatnot. Fleet and quick for better movement as well, and faster swap speed. So very speedy, very aggressive SMG build. Next up here, I do have my standard loadout with the KG M40, and then I pair this with the Armaguerra here. Again, it got nerfed, but it wasn't super significant. It's still a top SMG choice. KG setup, exact same as we just covered, so we don't need to go over that again. The Armaguerra setup here, though, not really many changes from the Season 4 setup outside of one, and that has to do with the stock, so we'll get to that. But recoil booster, I'm still running the 315 barrel. We saw nerfs to, I believe, the short barrel and the 550 barrel, but the 315 with the better damage, which really helps out the TTK, wasn't adjusted, so this thing is still frying. I also have the slate reflector on there. Previously, I was using the skeletal stock here, which gave you that sort of strafe build. Now I'm just going for folding for that better sprint to fire and better movement speed. So this one's going to be nice and aggressive and fast. You do have to get used to the recoil here, but that's not something that I think is going to, ruin this setup, if you will. I personally use the compact underbarrel. If you want to help out with that recoil, you could go for strife angled. You could go for steady. Both of those will help out there. It just comes down to how comfortable you are with the gun itself. 9mm 60 on here still, despite the slight nerf. Nothing too crazy there. Subsonic taped. Sleight of hand here for that faster reload. I just don't really love any of these other perks here. Then also quick for that better sprint speed yet again. Moving on here, we got the Vargo, we got the PPSH, which if you watch the meta tier list and the meta breakdown video from yesterday, it's my new favorite SMG at the moment. This thing is so fun, very spicy, very competitive, right? So Vargo setup, this thing actually got a buff for the ADS, so it's now better than ever. It's still the best non-Vanguard rifle in the game. Setup though is the same. We got Grau suppressor, task force, Spetsnaz grip, 60 round mag, the 3x optic on there as well. And for the PPSH, we do see some changes here. So I'm running the recoil booster, the Zach 300mm barrel, which is now better than ever. It also got a slight buff. If you want more of a strafe build or a more aggressive build, if you will, the 280 is also a good choice. I find 300 to be a bit more consistent. I run the ISO 3P iron sight variant, remove stock for some better mobility, skeletal for better mobility as well. The big change here, jumping over to the Nambu rounds. No damage penalty here after the update. So you're getting a better fire rate and better recoil, and to me it makes it more competitive than just your basic extended mag now. The TTK is fantastic and it's super easy to use. I got subsonic on there per usual, taped. I got tight grip for some better control, and then also quick for some better movement on there as well. Such a fun setup to use, and like I said, my favorite at the moment. Another very fun loadout, we got the Grau. The Grau is back. It is not the greatest weapon in the world after the update, don't let anyone tell you that, but it is a very competitive rifle as we talked about yesterday. I'm pairing it with the Marco in this case. Grau's setup, This is my sort of like OG one, if you will. You can tweak this as you like, but monolithic suppressor, Archangel barrel, tac laser, commando, and 50 is pretty solid. A lot of players probably want to go for something that has an optic though, and if that's the case, just drop the tac laser, go ahead, throw on the VLK 3x optic, and that setup will work great for medium and long range as well. I love the iron sights on the Archangel barrel, and I feel like I'm doing the gun a disservice if I don't use those iron sights, right? So I go ahead and use the tac laser for a more aggressive build. Obviously, you are limited with visibility and long range with that one though. Then the Marco setup here, still very aggressive, obviously not as good as it was before because the nerfs, but still super competitive. We got the recoil booster, the 240 barrel here for that better fire rate, makes it a little bit harder to use, but higher risk, higher reward, great TTK here. Red dot, the FR stock for that better initial control, ADS, and movement speed. Steady underbarrel for some better control, which will make it a bit easier to shoot. 64 round drums, subsonic taped, gung ho for that sprinting while firing. Honestly, all these perks kind of suck, and that's just the lesser of all evils. And quick on there once more. Now, as always, when we get new weapons in the game, I always try and include them in our top 10 loadout videos. So we got the RA225 on this setup. We'll talk about the EX1 here in a bit as well. I'm pairing it with this, in this case, with the XM4, which is a great non-Vanguard option as well. Of course, it's a Cold War rifle, so we all know the setups by now, right? Agency, task force, field agent, 45 or 60, whichever you prefer, and the 3x optic, no surprises there. For the RA225, this build is all about strafe, and let me tell you, you can move. Now, it's not the most consistent build compared to what we talked about before with the needle barrel on there, but this one is very fun if you are an aggressive player because the strafe speed is pretty nutty. So we got recoil booster, the first barrel, which helps out with the ADS and strafe speed. We got a red dot, the tac stock here, which helps out with strafe speed as well. Compact underbarrel, strafe speed. The basic extended mag here, subsonic. We got granular on there as well as I go to the wrong, class area, which also helps out with strafe speed. We got tight grip just to help out with some control there. Then I also have quick on there as well for that better movement. Very fast setup. Not the craziest TTK, but a lot of fun. Now, we do have a bit of a sniper meta right now. So in this case, I've got the 3-line, which is personally, in my opinion, the go-to long-range sniper because it can one-shot at any range. And I got the Cooper as a secondary here for that sniper support, and that works fantastic for that exact setup. So here on the 3-line, I am running the Mercury silencer. I've also got the 514 barrel on here. Like I said, it can one shot at any range. This does help out with the ADS though and the bullet velocity, which you love to see. No optic. I personally like the base sniper scope. If you want to go for a 3-6, if you want to go for something else, totally go for it. It just comes down to what you're comfortable with. I got the MZ stock on here for that better ADS speed once again. Skeletal for the better ADS. I'm still running the 20 round mags. They did nerf the damage a bit here, but it's still the most consistent option. And you never have to reload, which is just fantastic, right? I got lengthen for the better velocity, leather for the faster ADS. You could also go for fabric as well. Silent focus and on hand for that faster ADS too. So very aggressive sniper build here that works for medium to long range. And Cooper is fantastic for sniper support. On here, I got MX silencer, Cooper custom barrel. Obviously, we're using the 2.5x optic for those close and medium range fights. I like skeletal on here just because the recoil is so easy for medium range and closer. This just helps it be more aggressive and more consistent as a sniper support build. Carver foregrip to minimize that control. 9mm 60 for the better control. Fire rate, just more aggression all around. Lengthened, you could do compressed rounds, but I just don't like how they feel. That's more of a preference thing. I feel like I have more consistent hit reg with lengthened on most guns as is. We got taped on there for the better movement, tight grip for better control, and on hand for a faster ADS. Great sniper build here that complements basically all ranges. Now, as mentioned, we are going to talk the EX1. As I mentioned, we broke down this weapon individually the other day. It's not a meta gun right now, but it is new, and I always try and feature them in these videos regardless. I do think it's more of a mid-range gun. If it is anything, like long range, not really consistent, close range, not really consistent. So I'm pairing it with the sniper sort of as a sniper support build. Setup here, pretty standard. I got the coil amp because this is more close range focused, if you will. I got the Grat barrel, which is like the standard rifle, so it's better control, just more consistent and easy to use. Slate reflector, you could do 2.5 times if you wanted to as well. The anchor stock here for better initial control and general control. I got Carver for better control. I got the PMW or PWN rather for the better fire rate, which just basically makes it a little bit more consistent when it comes to TTK. Hatch grip for some better control. Sleight of hand because the reload's not very good on this thing. Then I got on hand for that faster ADS yet again. So just basically trying to make it aggressive but consistent. Like I said, though, it's not the most practical in the world. The Tundra, though, did see an update with the Season 5 update. It got buffed, so now it's going to be even more aggressive. So on here, I got sound moderator to make it nice and snappy, faster ADS, but also helps out with the bullet velocity, and it keeps us off the map. Combat recon barrel for the best velocity, the 5 milliwatt sight for that faster ADS, bruiser grip to make it a bit more aggressive, and then also airborne elastic wrap, which will give you a better ADS as well. So aggressive sniper, very fun to use. And then lastly, we sort of got my experimental loadout, if you will. We got the Cold War AK, we got the newly buffed UGR SMG from Cold War, which is like the explosive round SMG. They pair well together. Obviously, the AK is a powerhouse. It's got a great TTK, but the recoil is sort of not ideal in some cases. You got to get used to it, but setup here pretty standard. We got Grau suppressor, the RPK barrel, Spetsnaz, 45 or 60 yet again, 3 times optics. Same old, same old. Then on the UGR, this is a very interesting SMG build because, like I said, it has explosive rounds, so it makes it a very unique weapon because of that. On here, though, I'm going for Grau suppressor. You could also go for sound suppressor, though, if you want it to be a little bit more aggressive. I just like to extend that range a little bit, and also the control is better on the Grau as well, so I go ahead, I run that. Task Force for the better strafe and also helps out with the range a tad bit too. Tiger Team Spotlight for the better movement. Same deal with Bruiser. Obviously, the Cold War subs cannot compete in terms of mobility with Vanguard subs, so adding on whatever movement attachments we can get on this thing is a must. So got Bruiser and Tiger Team for that. And then I use the newly buffed 50 round explosive rounds. So plenty of ammo that's going to work just fine, and the TTK is not the craziest in the world, but good enough to be a competitive SMG. And it's just a ton of fun to use because it's not the normal SMG setup you might see in games. So plenty of very, very solid options right now for general gameplay. You can use any of these loadouts across all 3 maps. Like I said, in the coming days, we're going to focus more on Rebirth and Fortune's Keep individually because there are some different weapons and some different setups that work well there. But that said, that's going to wrap things up for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did, let me know by dropping a like on it. It does really help grow the channel. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that sub button, turn on those post notifications, because every single day I got you covered with everything going on in COD, and we are on the road to 1 million subs. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.